I'm back for part 2 of my speech to now explore the different types of media and how we can see God's truth in them. First of all, let's start with music. Music is considered to be a universal language, and every person, for the most part, engages and is connected to some type of music and really feels like it feeds them in an intellectual level and a spiritual level, and it really helps relax them or teach them new ideas. And it's funny because in music, we tend to see that as Christians, we like to categorize every other type of music as secular that isn't directly related to a Christian message or worship or anything like that. But actually what we find is that if we look at the artists and their work, there can be a lot of Christian threads found. In his book about rock and rollers and their spiritual search for redemption, author Chris Turner writes, "Early rock and rollers like Elvis Presley and Little Richard were affected by the passions of Pentecostalism, and soul music grew directly out of Black American gospel music." What this means is that these two incredibly popular music artists were rooted in their Christian beliefs, and it was the starting point for the work that they did. And all the artists that have been influenced by them since, which is innumerable amounts, are therefore being influenced by those same roots and that same lens of life. And in music, we hear so many themes about love and about searching for what's right, or even U2's song, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, or forgiveness or feeling wronged. These are common themes in the Bible and different issues that God directs us to talk about, and in music, we see them all the time. Television. Television has been an interesting debate in the last few years because we have pushed the standards really, really far out to where they are completely unrecognizable compared to the standards before. And now we're seeing kind of this backswing where people are saying, okay, we pushed it too far because now TV isn't really that enjoyable anymore, or I can't let my kids watch it, or it just feels inappropriate because it's so inundated with violence and sexuality and, very adult concepts or really just intense trains of thought. And when we look at television shows over the years, especially in the US, that are considered the greatest TV shows of all time, the majority of them are not shows that were rooted in their shock factor, but rather were just good character stories about people overcoming obstacles at work or in their love lives or, with their friends, and us engaging in those stories and just wanting to see people live the kind of lives we would want for ourselves and to overcome and to get the things that they want. And so what we're seeing now is people going back and saying, okay, I think we pushed it too far, and that speaks a great deal to who we are as people, what matters to us, and what really feeds us in terms of entertainment. And this is important because television is in our homes, it's where we spend our time with our families, it's in our private space, and therefore it's hopefully going to go back to where we are pulling back on those threads a little bit in order to bring more wholesome entertainment into our homes. And finally, we're going to talk about movies, which is my personal favorite. I've loved movies since I was a kid. And like television, what's interesting about films is that what we engage in is stories and people and us wanting to see things turn out right for the character of the movie. Films are the most pivotal art form in our culture. They are a natural coming together point because they influence so many people. In another book he wrote, Steve Turner talks about a pastor that says that 80% of all of his conversations with non-believers begin with the concept of film. And I think that speaks to what it is we care about, and good versus evil, right versus wrong, falling in love, overcoming obstacles, very much the same as television. But films have this way of just bringing us together. Think about how many people are going to go see this new Star Wars movie in December, and that's a perfect example of how one story can influence masses and bring together very diverse groups of people. In the best quote in this book, Steve Turner writes, Vogler, who has helped guide the screenplays of such films as Fight Club, Black Swan, The Wrestler, and The Lion King, applied to film the ideas of mythologist Joseph Campbell and analytical psychologist Carl Jung to see if a consistent pattern indicative of timeless truths would emerge. What he found was a beautiful design, a set of principles that govern the conduct of life and the world of storytelling the way physics and chemistry govern the physical world. It's difficult to avoid the sensation that the hero's journey exists somewhere, somehow, as an eternal reality, a platonic form, a divine model. This means that in their attempt to become secular, film, just like everything else, demonstrates who God is and what we care about as people. And I encourage you to go forward as Christians and try to pull out God's truths in media to help people see God in a different light, and to not only influence the changing of media to be more wholesome and spiritually beneficial to humankind, but also to show them that they've seen who God is all along and didn't even know it. Thank you so much.